Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. Okay, plot twist. I was not planning on coming back and making a long form video until like 600 hours. I told you guys that. I just hit 350 hours. I think today I'm sitting at like 356 hours, and there are just so many things that have changed and like thoughts that I have. Let me just come on, do a really random update video, just sharing it all, just getting it all out, kind of just like processing my thoughts at 350 hours. A little backstory, you guys know I'm currently doing 4 hours a day. I actually have been passing 4 hours. It's like I hit 4 hours and I no longer have the mindset of like, okay, I'm done for the day. If I have more to give, I'm like, well, let's just do it. So in today's kind of informal video, I want to touch on the comprehension jump that happened around 300 hours, how my informal crosstalk sessions have been going, other updates as far as like progress and changes that I'm noticing. And the last thing is, you guys know I've always believed in this method, but things have happened where I really, really fully believe that this is the best way to learn a language. And I just want to tell everybody, I'm like, please, like you need to know about this. So let's just get right into it. First up, I want to talk about the biggest comprehension jump that I've felt so far on this journey. And that was right at 300 hours, not 250 hours, 300 hours. And there might be some things that have to do with this. This is the time where I discovered Luisito y Okay, so I was watching Luisito, Jex, Coreano vlogs, and also his wife also has a channel, so I've been watching her channel. After 3 or 4 days of consuming native content on YouTube for my input, I just realized, you know what, Pablo is right when he says consuming easier content is better. And I was just thinking, I want to make sure my time is well spent. And if I'm going to spend 4 hours listening to Spanish input, I want to make sure it's benefiting me as much as possible. So at this time, I changed my method and I was like, okay, I am going to really try to watch a lot more Dreaming Spanish videos. Maybe at the end of the day, I will consume YouTube videos. And I've thoroughly been enjoying it. Just a little random thing. If I'm watching a video on YouTube for a native, and sometimes they have fixed subtitles in Spanish, right? And I'll be watching it, and then I think to myself, but you're cheating because the subtitles are in English. And then I'm like, no, they're not. Like, they're in Spanish. Wait, this entire thing is in Spanish. Subtitles are not. The subtitles are in Spanish and they're speaking in Spanish. Like, I keep thinking it's in English or something because I'm understanding too much. So that's been really cool. That's happened 2 or 3 times and it's just like so mind-blowing that this is happening to me. The next thing I want to talk about is my informal crosstalk sessions with natives. And these all came about kind of naturally once I started using HelloTalk. And especially at 300 hours, when my comprehension shot up, it's been so much fun for me to use this app. I actually have 2 or 3 people on there that it sounds crazy, but I feel like we're actually friends and like we message pretty much every day and we have spontaneous calls and we can send voice messages too, which I really like that function in the app. And honestly, my favorite type of input now has been having crosstalk sessions, and the time just flies by. Like 2 hours or more will just fly by, and it has just been so rewarding. Like I said, they tend to be more informal because these people are just kind of like my friends now, and we just call randomly. It's not like, let's set up this time to talk and we're going to talk about these things. It's more casual, and I will say they know that I want them to speak Spanish, of course, and I think you have to find the right people because for me, a lot of my partners, their English isn't like, okay, if you find someone that's like speaking English a lot and they can like really express themselves in English, it's going to be hard for them to speak in Spanish to you only. But when you find people that are kind of more beginner or, intermediate, at least at speaking, they're more likely to just speak in Spanish because we're having conversations. We really want to express ourselves, express the different topics that we're talking about, and it's just easier to do it in Spanish. Honestly, I find that a lot of them don't mind. Even when we're messaging, like they're almost always messaging me in Spanish. It's just like more natural, I guess. That being said, I'm not super strict. I'm not like, don't even say a single English word. Because I understand that they want to learn too and they want to practice. But majority of the time, truly, is them speaking Spanish. And maybe asking, oh, how do I say this little thing, this little sentence? And one thing that my partners say often, like at the end of maybe a 2-hour plus call, they'll be like, I think your listening is really good. And it's kind of true. I'll be like, wow, we just had a 2-hour call effortlessly and they were speaking Spanish the whole time. So it's really crazy. But I love this way of kind of speaking, just being able to ask, oh, what word did you use here? What does that word mean? I've actually learned a lot of new words speaking with a native. And also not only new words, but like, oh, this is another way to say this. And then I'll hear it in the DS videos and things like that. So another thing is that Dreaming Spanish and the CI method has done wonders for my vocabulary, truly. Because sometimes if they're trying to practice their English and they're trying to say something and they're struggling all the time, I'm like, can you just say it in Spanish and I'll tell you what it is in English? And it's crazy that I'm at the point where I can easily do that, pretty much no matter what the topic or the word that they're trying to say. Sometimes they can't think of a word and I'm like, just tell me it in Spanish and I'll tell you in English. And it's just kind of crazy. I'm seeing the difference in my vocabulary versus someone at my level in their English learning that's learning like the more traditional way. And clearly, I mean, if you think about, studying flashcards or something, how many flashcards can you do versus just listening to so many different types of videos about so many different topics? That's been something pretty cool that I've noticed. Another thing that I have really enjoyed is messaging with my friends in the app. Although I'm not reading yet, I feel like this is a nice little getting my toes wet. Is that the expression? Getting my feet wet? With reading, and also it's helped me get more familiar with everyday kind of topics. Like, hey, what's up? Like, what are you up to today? What are you doing? Like, things like that where we might not hear in the DS videos. It's been really nice. Okay, let's talk about speaking, because it has been tempting for me to start speaking, but something in me knows that it still feels like it's going against the grain. And more recently, I would say within the past week or so, I have really become almost one with Pablo and everything he says, basically, because I'm like, everything he says just makes sense, and I feel like I'm experiencing it in real time of like, oh, this is why he says this, and it feels right. So let me give you some examples. When I'm on the calls with my friends and they're speaking in Spanish and I'm usually speaking in English, of course, sometimes Spanish words or phrases will just come out of my mouth. They just kind of flow. And this tells me a few things. Number one, I feel very comfortable with them. And I think for me, that is going to be the best environment for me to start speaking when it's time. But what it's also shown me is that how easy like these small sentences or, words in Spanish are just literally flowing out of me. The time is right for me to really start speaking in Spanish, like completely speaking in Spanish. It's going to feel more fluid, just like how I've gotten to this point where suddenly sentences and things are just coming out. It'll kind of feel like that when I'm ready to fully be speaking only in Spanish. Whereas right now, if I was like, okay, I'm going to finish off this video in Spanish, it's like, what? No, I would be forcing so many words. I'd have to be thinking about things. I wouldn't know how to form the sentences. Um, and this is what I'm seeing with a lot of English learners that I witness in the voice rooms is it's just such a struggle to be forcing words, forcing sentences. And I'm not even going to throw shade here, but I just need to say this. So when people are speaking in English that are learning the traditional way, obviously they want you to correct them. But something that I'm finding with some people is like they'll say a sentence and you want me to correct you, but it's like the entire sentence is off. It's not, let me correct this one word or like move this around. The whole thing doesn't make sense. It's like, that's not, throw the whole sentence away. I was watching a video that Pablo made recently about language learning. One thing he was saying is that he doesn't correct people and that they should know this sounds wrong or this feels wrong. And I'm finding that even with my Spanish, with certain sentences or things like that are just flowing out of me. It's like, I just know that this is how it's supposed to sound or supposed to be said. Whereas people who are just learning a language the traditional way, I'm finding that a lot of them, they don't have that feeling or that sense of like, oh no, this sentence is wrong. They're just kind of like plucking words where they're just, it's just, I don't know. I can't explain it. I just know that I feel so much, even more confidence in this method. Something also that's been happening with me is there are larger sentences that are coming to my mind randomly. And what I've been doing is I go to ChatGPT and I say, please correct my Spanish sentence. And I'll write in what just came to my mind and then have them correct it. And usually it's like maybe one thing is off or I'm missing one word or something, which has been amazing. Like, even after that, when they tell me the result, I'm like, wait, can you are you sure? Like, this is really, I just formed that whole sentence by myself, like almost subconsciously. Like, for example, after I was running errands, my head popped like a sentence saying like, okay, now I'm going to go return to my house and make some good food. I didn't plan to think this or say this, but it was like there in Spanish. And so then I went and asked Chat if I was correct. And it was pretty close. It was like really close, which is just really shocking for someone that's never studied grammar or vocab or anything. These sentences are just forming naturally. And I just have faith in the method. And I think if I just continue, I'm going to get to where I want to be in the language. And that is just so exciting for me, honestly. Yeah, so for now, my plan is to continue consuming DS content, podcasts, and continuing with my crosstalk sessions. Ideally, I would like to have at least 3 crosstalk sessions a week, if not more. And also messaging with people in Spanish. I've actually really enjoyed that. And I think it's a good step into reading, I guess you could say. I'm having so much fun. Right now, I feel like I'm having the most fun that I've had learning the language and truly starting to see the fruit of my learning. Around 600 hours is when I'll reevaluate my speaking plan and how I feel. But if there are updates before then, I'll let you guys know because I just don't know. Anything can happen, especially in these crosstalk sessions. And since these sentences are just kind of coming out of my mouth. Okay, but one thing, I don't want to reinforce in my brain this idea of like Spanglish. I have to admit to you guys, okay, it has become kind of like that. Like I can tell I'm speaking in Spanglish sometimes, even just to myself or, yeah, I don't know. And I'm not trying to make those connections like in my brain of Spanglish. But yeah, oh, another thing is I know the whole thing about dreaming in Spanish. I don't know about you guys, but I have been dreaming in Spanish almost every night, truly. But like Pablo has said, he thinks it has to do with the intensity at which you are learning the language. And I've been pretty intense. I've been getting like 5, 6, 7 hours of input, especially like on the weekend sometimes. I'm just like, let's just go for it and get as much input as possible. Yeah, I've been having a ton of dreams in Spanish lately. And I wake up just saying words in Spanish, and yeah, it's interesting. It's been really interesting. We'll see how long I really can hold off on speaking. It's just fun. Oh, I didn't mention this, but I have to say, I hate how I sound when I speak sometimes. Like I'm just so cringing, and I'll try to say a word so many times because I'm like, no, you need to get this right. You're not going to be sounding like the other gringos, okay? But I think it's good. It's all just a testament to like, I know I sound wrong. I think that's the starting point, you know? But I know it's just a process of getting the muscles in your mouth to be able to say what you want to say. But it's weird because I'll sit there and I just continue to try to say it over and over. And I'm like, why can't you get this? It's sounding so bad. And it's like in your mind, you know exactly what it's supposed to sound like, but it's just not transferring, you know? Okay, that's all for today. I'll catch you guys soon. Who knows when. But I also plan to maybe make, this has been the longest ending ever. I'm so sorry. I also plan to make maybe some short form content of just like random thoughts that I have. Like I'll state how many hours I'm at and maybe something that has happened or a thought that I have or something like that. So anyways, thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe if you haven't. Leave some questions down below if you have any. Okay, I'll talk to you guys soon.